Hi everybody, Charlotte here from Char Loves Books, and today I'm going to be doing some of my weirdest book pet peeves. This took a lot of thinking because every time I got annoyed by something, I had to write it down solely for this video. So I have 7 pet peeves to share with you, and if I think of more in the future, there will be sequels to this video, but I think these are good enough, so let's just jump on in. My first one I will demonstrate with stars above, and it's when you're reading your book and the book slowly starts sliding out of the cover and you're really engrossed, but then you feel it with your hand, this distance between the book and the cover, and your hands get distracted and you lose the feeling of being immersed in that world, and then you just go shove back down and then it gets creased at the bottom. So this was quite the involved pet peeve. This mostly happens in cases when you're completely flat on your back reading and your stomach fat is holding up the book at a slightly different angle. Then yeah, moving on. This one comes up more in suspense fantasy books with like high stake plots and so forth, but when there's 2 characters talking about this plan for like overthrowing the government or something, and you can't tell if the third character, who's sort of trusted, sort of in the same circle as those 2 characters, is still in the room, and if they're like discussing this high stakes, intense plan, top secret, and if the third person is just standing there listening, and then you have to reread those 2 pages again and you see that one line like Chad left, and then you're like, oh. This one also has to do with 2 characters, and it's sex scenes when you're just like, it's like playing Twister in your head instead of real life. You're like, Sarah's limb curled around his arm and her leg curled around his torso, and you're imagining this in your head and you're like, Sarah's quite the acrobat, and then you just lose track of where their legs are in general. My 4th happened with the first Miss Peregrine book, is when you finish a book and it has a really weird ending, but you go online and you can't tell if there's a sequel or if it just really had a bad ending, because I read Miss Peregrine when it first came out and it has this cliffhanger, and by the way, I have not read any of the sequels because I was so turned off by that moment when I didn't know if it would have anything else, so I was like, it's a pretty shitty ending. Then it had like 2 or 3 more books in the series, but it's annoying when you don't know if there's a sequel, because it's this question of how do I frame my review if I don't know if this issue is being resolved in the future or if it should have been resolved. All I remember from that book is them going away on a boat. This one might just be a me problem, but when you're the only one who didn't like a really popular book and you're writing your review online and you're like, better barricade the door because unpopular opinion. This happened to me with the Shatter Me. Is that a trilogy? Did I read? No, I didn't read them all. You know what? My friend in school recommended them to me and I was like, I trust her, I'm gonna read them. And I read it and I'm like, Adania, this is a really good book. And she's like, I know. And I'm like, and it's also like you can't participate in sharing the love for the book when you don't love the book. This one is like a plot pet peeve, but when you start reading a book, and I found this with shoot, what's it called? Snow Like Ashes. When you open the book and you start reading and there's already a love interest and you're like, I know the character loves them, but I don't love them. Am I expected to just trust that they were great together before the book started and they're gonna be great together now? I just don't like pre-existing love interests at all. I want to fall in love with the person as the character does. And that book is really good though, don't take me wrong, that's just one aspect of it I didn't like. My final book pet peeve for this video is when it has a really pretty cover but the inside is just not as pretty. It's not good, because then you're holding this book that's really beautiful and you don't want it. You didn't even finish reading 50 pages, you abandoned it, you realize you're not gonna waste your time, but it's just really pretty. And you don't know whether to stuff it in your bookshelf anyway, but then it looks like you liked it. This happened to me with 1,000 Pieces of You. It has a, if you've ever seen that cover, I got rid of it. That's what I chose to do. But it's the kingdom, not the king, it's like St. Petersburg on top and then the bottom is London, or vice versa. And it's this really amazing graphic art detail, and it's like watercolors bleeding off into a white background. And I just couldn't get into the book at all. It was really, really not good. And I got rid of it. I would have kept it if it was the hardcover, but it's a paperback. So those are my pet peeves, and if you have some irrational pet peeves, let me know. If you hate my pet peeves, let me know. They're pet peeves, you can't control them. Sorry if I come across as a negative person in this video, but that's just the nature of this video. I am positive sometimes. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more videos. Goodbye.